Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Governor's Prevention Partnership. On behalf of Co-President Roland Harmon and myself, I'm Kelly Juleson, and we welcome you here today. So appreciative that Senator Blumenthal continues to be on the front line for our young people, both here in Connecticut and down in Washington, and very pleased to have this conversation today as we talk about yet another substance that negatively impacts our young people, Zyn. And I will turn it over to our dear Senator and friend, Senator Richard Blumenthal.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I regret that we're here. As much as I love the people who are here, and I particularly want to thank our young people, and the great work by the Prevention Partnership is just so valuable on so many counts in so many areas. I really want to express my thanks to the great work that you do here. But what we face here is a new scourge. It's a new form of nicotine addiction. Let's be very clear. Nicotine is a drug. It is probably the most powerfully addictive legal drug that exists right now. There are a lot of addictive drugs that have power over individuals. The addiction is hard to overcome. People are in recovery from all kinds of opioids and other substances. But this is a product that is designed to attract and addict children. The makers of these products, like Zyn, they are nicotine pouches, target kids relentlessly, tirelessly, profitably. And the result is clear. Uses of these pouches are soaring. The rate of popularity is rising astronomically. Sales doubled between 2020 and 2023. Profits have increased astronomically from about $400 million in 2020 to $1 billion in 2022. Soaring profits, heightening popularity, increasing numbers of nicotine addiction. That is the plain result of putting nicotine in a pouch that can be inserted in between the gum and the lip. It can be concealed, used in schools, and often without knowledge of parents or anyone else. So this kind of product is a gateway. It is a gateway to tobacco use, smoking, or vaping, or other kinds of nicotine addiction products that can be even more harmful. But this product alone, we know for adolescents, is harmful because nicotine has effects that young people often fail to understand or anticipate. So what I am asking in a letter that I'm writing today to the head of the FDA is that this product be regulated strictly, that it be scrutinized and the review of its pre-market application be completed as quickly as possible, and in the interim, that it be taken off the market. Until the FDA completes its investigatory review, this product should be taken off shelves and off the market because it is potentially extraordinarily and deeply harmful, and the destructive effects of addiction to nicotine from this product can be lifelong. They can be long-lasting, and nicotine addiction can lead to all kinds of other problems and ailments. So Zyn is one of the most common of these nicotine pouches, but they all have in common the use of flavors, peppermint, cool mint, other kinds of flavors that make them more attractive. The makers of these nicotine pouches took a page from Big Tobacco's playbook. They're using flavors, promotions, and pitches to target young people. They know that youth are particularly susceptible to these kinds of pitches and promotions. It's a new product. It's cool. And young people will tend to use it and then start vaping or smoking or other kinds of use of substances that are associated with nicotine. Nicotine addiction is not harmless. It is not a plaything. It is potentially destructive to health, and we already have enough ways that people are vulnerable to nicotine addiction. We shouldn't be permitting more. Again, I'm writing to the FDA and I'm saying to those scientists and medical experts, complete your review to show how harmful this product is, and in the meantime, take it off the market. So thank you very much, all of you, for being here today. Thanks for giving me this opportunity to make those points. Thank you.
Sorry, Senator. And we're so pleased at the Governor's Prevention Partnership to have members of our Youth Advisory Board with us today. These young leaders are going to talk about the power of prevention in their own communities and the work they have been doing on Zyn. And I just want to make the point, I talked to my two daughters last night who are 17 and 10. My 17-year-old was familiar with Zyn in her high school, but it was really my 10-year-old that shocked me. We have a local coffee shop that is next to a smoke store. And as we were waiting in line, she said she saw the posters for Zyn and the flavors that they had. And she's like, Mom, and they even have mango. I love mango. And so if you think that 10 years old is too young to start the conversation with the young people in your life, it's not. Parents and caring adults have tremendous power in having those conversations with young people around the dangers of substance misuse. And those who have conversations, those young people can actually be 50% less likely to use. So certainly want to encourage parents to have those conversations and move forward. And without further ado, I'd love to introduce Neha Shanavas from the Sports and Medical Sciences Academy, who's here and part of our Youth Advisory Board.
Thank you everyone for being here today. My name is Neha Shanavas and I'm a senior at Sport and Medical Science Academy in Hartford. I'm also part of the Speakers Bureau of the Governor's Prevention Partnership Youth Advisory Board. It's no secret that Zyns have gained popularity among teenagers in recent years. They are often seen as a safer alternative to e-cigarettes or vapes. However, it's crucial to understand that Zyns are not without their risks. While they might not contain tobacco, Zyns still deliver nicotine, which is a highly addictive substance. As young individuals, we are particularly vulnerable to the addictive properties of nicotine. What starts as an occasional use can quickly escalate to a habit that's difficult to break. Another concerning factor is the packaging of Zyns. You often see here they often mimic the packaging of gums or mints, which further contributes to their appealing nature to teens. It's very easy for an adult to think that a pack of Zyns is gum or candy, since nicotine pouches can be placed inside your cheek or under your lip, also known as the upper decky. It's also very convenient to only use them but to conceal your usage as well. Furthermore, there is still uncertainty regarding Zyn's long-term health implications. Nicotine can negatively affect how the brain develops, impair cognitive abilities, and raise the possibility of addiction later in life. Nicotine pouches may be different from smokable tobacco, but they still have TSNAs related to cancer and come with a risk of side effects such as nausea, hiccups, and vomiting. I advise my fellow students to carefully consider the decisions we make that affect our health and well-being. There is a dire need for federal action against Zyns to address this concern in our community. In conclusion, I call upon educators, policymakers, and the general public to increase awareness about the dangers of nicotine use, including Zyns, and to implement strategies to prevent underage access to these products. I'm confident that by working together, we can create meaningful progress towards resolving this issue. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Neha. And following Neha, we're going to have Ruth Kenobi from the American Lung Association of Connecticut.
For the tough act to follow. Good morning, everyone. My name is Ruth Kenobi. I'm the Advocacy Director for the American Lung Association in Connecticut. I want to thank Senator Blumenthal for his tireless efforts in championing public health and protecting youth from tobacco and nicotine addiction, and the Governor's Prevention Partnership for hosting us today and the important role that you play in preventing young people from addiction here in Connecticut. The Lung Association's mission is to save lives by promoting lung health and preventing lung disease. We do this through our research, education, and advocacy efforts. I'm here because we have an opportunity here today to learn from history. Along with Senator Blumenthal, we urged FDA to take action on a new and budding method for nicotine delivery and addiction among our kids. We know that the tobacco industry has a long history of setting its sights on coming up with new products to hook a new generation to its products. We also know that once addicted, use of other tobacco products, including the most powerful nicotine delivery device, that of the cigarette, occurs. We have deepening concerns about the growing popularity of these nicotine pouches among our youth that are fueled by the same kinds of youth-appealing marketing and flavors that gave rise to an epidemic of e-cigarette use among young people. Like e-cigarettes, nicotine pouches can deliver highly addictive levels of nicotine. These products can be concealed, as we've heard, during use in school or other public places, even more so than e-cigarettes because it emits no vapor. The pouches are also sold with flavors, as we've heard, a feature that has been key to the appeal of e-cigarettes and other tobacco products to young people. As the senator mentioned, we've seen highly increases in the rate of popularity, and more youth reported using flavored nicotine pouches than traditional tobacco products. Mint is by far the most popular flavor among youth who use nicotine pouches, followed by menthol and fruit. As we have learned from the experience with e-cigarettes, however, national survey data can lag behind local reports, so FDA should not wait for more survey data before acting on these products, and I'm sure we'll hear more about that from the youth today. The adverse public health consequences of youth uptake of yet another addictive nicotine product are beyond dispute. The FDA repeatedly has found in denying marketing orders for flavored e-cigarettes, youth and young adult brains are more vulnerable to nicotine's effects than the adult brain due to ongoing neural development, and the Surgeon General has found the use of products containing nicotine in any form among youth, including e-cigarettes, is unsafe. Let's learn from our history here. We must prioritize kids' health and help prevent the next generation from addiction to nicotine. Thank you again, Senator Blumenthal, for your steadfast and passionate leadership on these issues, and thank you all for your time and attention to this public health matter that is such a detriment to our kids.
Thank you.
Thank you. And next we have Alex Kosher from Glastonbury High School. Alex?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Alex Kosher, and I am a junior at Glastonbury High School. I'm part of Glastonbury's Youth Advisory Council, which allows youth like me to provide input into our town's government on topics such as substance use. I'm also on the GPP's Youth Advisory Board, which is very similar to YAC, but it operates on the state level. I want to address the Zyn usage in my high school and high schools across Connecticut. My first encounter with this trend wasn't through Zyns. It was through social media and just seeing them on social media. I was scrolling through TikTok, just like every teen does, and I saw a teen just flashing their gum with a white pouch in between their lip and their gum. So later, I found out that was Zyn. So it's becoming just more and more popular with the help of social media, such as TikTok. Just as Senator Blumenthal previously remarked, these are being advertised to kids. If it wasn't without these labels, I would think that it's a mint box, There even is a class action that is currently ongoing that alleges that Zyn is advertising to kids. Vape detectors have been installed in my bathrooms at school, and Zyn offers pretty much a discreet alternative as it doesn't emit any vapors. Many teens in my school have switched from using e-cigarettes and vapes to using Zyns as they're healthier, but that could be any farther from the truth, as it's been found that you have an increased risk of oral cancer through use of Zyns. Zyns are an imminent threat to the health of Connecticut youth, and they're growing in popularity day by day. Thank you all.
Thank you, Alex.
Good job, Alex.
And next we have Dr. J. Craig Allen, who's the Vice President of Addiction Services at Hartford Healthcare Behavioral Health Network. Sorry. Thank you.
Very good. I'm really grateful for Senator Blumenthal and the Governor's Prevention Partnership for trying to get the word out. And it's wonderful to be hearing from these kids who are right there in the trenches dealing with this stuff. My kids are a little bit older now. My youngest one's a freshman, but I remember them complaining about the Jewels and using certain bathrooms in the school because they're less likely to have a bunch of people in there vaping. And so this all sounds very, very familiar to me. It goes round and round and round. One thing that doesn't change is a fact that substance use disorders are a developmental disease. They start in your youth. If you're not exposed, if you don't expose the reward pathways in your brain to addictive substances until your brain's fully developed, 22, 23, probably 24 or later, then the likelihood of someone developing a substance use disorder is greatly, greatly reduced. 90% of people with adults with a substance use disorder started using an addictive substance. That includes cannabis, marijuana, alcohol, nicotine products before the age of 18, 96% before the age of 21. So this is crucial that we're alert and vigilant and identify these new products that are affecting the developing brain, the neurocircuitry, even the morphology of a developing brain. And as the senator said, this can lead you to a lifelong vulnerability to developing other substance use disorders. And in relationship to nicotine and the fact that it's not benign, nicotine affects the parts of the brain that have to do with attention, have to do with learning, have to do with memory, and have to do with sleep. So these adolescents are impacting their sleep when they're using these nicotine products. And nicotine, if you use it enough, you have withdrawal symptoms, irritability, inattention, craving. And thinking of a kid trying to study, trying to pay attention in class, having cravings to get back to the bathroom or to get another one of these pouches and slip it into their mouth is very sad, very disturbing to think about. So nicotine in and of itself is a problematic drug. It is, as the senator said, a gateway to other drugs, a vulnerability, a priming of your brain lifelong, and also may affect mood, anxiety, and as I mentioned earlier, sleep and quality of sleep. Although nicotine in and of itself hasn't been proven necessarily to lead to cancers, the fact that people who were using vapes, kids who were using vapes, increased their chance of transitioning to using tobacco products and cigarettes by 5 times makes us very, very uncomfortable. And I am very appreciative of the senator and the Governor's Prevention Committee of bringing all of you together today and hearing from you kids, because this is an incredibly important topic. The future of this country are our children, and we have a responsibility to them. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Allen. Very well said. And to speak of our future, we have our final youth speaker for today, and it's Sammy Pa, a senior at Haddam Killingworth High School down in Durham. Haddam? Sorry, Sammy.
Good morning, everyone. I am a part of the Governor's Prevention Partnership Youth Advisory Board and a youth peer advocate for Youth and Family Services of Haddam Killingworth. Nicotine pouches are quickly becoming a large issue for youth across America, and especially as we see in CT. Packaged to look like a mint container, nicotine pouches, like the ones from the brand Zyn, are flooding the streets with their popular flavors. Parents might see the container in the children's room and not bat an eye because they look very similar to breath mints people carry around all the time, and they could even transfer them into a breath mint container and no one would even know. When you look closer, you see the large, not really, this contains nicotine label, but that's not enough. Here in CT, teens have said they think it's safer than vaping because they aren't inhaling vapor into their lungs. Teens also know they have no smell and can't be detected on the expensive vape detectors housed in many of our school bathrooms. Instead, they have a puffy lip where they put the pouch in between their gums and their lip. teens are already seeing side effects. One teen told me they have an indent in their top lip where they consistently put their pouch. Some teens have said they don't use them because it gives them nausea and causes them to throw up due to the high concentration of nicotine all at once. A typical 1 millimeter vape contains 0.06 milligrams of nicotine per puff. This would be about 18 milligrams in the entire vape, which is about 300 puffs. One Zyn nicotine pouch contains 3 to 6 milligrams per pouch, released over about a 30-minute period. Not only are they so heavily concentrated, but they also have a large array of flavors that appeal to teens. Zyn specifically offer a reward system where you can earn expensive items like a Zyn-branded Yeti cooler and cup that you earn with the rewards that you sign up for. And people think these are free, and especially teens, like free stuff is so appealing to them, but it's not free. Your life is paying for it, but you're also paying for these pouches, and every single container you buy, you're never going to get those rewards until you buy so many of these pouches, and now you're addicted. Nicotine pouches are very similar to chewing tobacco, which at the time people also thought was safer than smoking a cigarette. And history is known to repeat itself, but sometimes when it comes back worse. We need to stop this craze before more damage is done.
Great job.
Thank you, Sammy, and thank you, Senator, so much for bringing forward this important issue. I think awareness is also part of the key to making sure that we can solve this issue, this scourge, as you mentioned earlier, and I'm sure that the speakers here are able to take any questions that you may have.
Has there been any discussion about, I remember when smokeless tobacco caused mouth cancer and all that. Has there been any discussion about this causing cancer at all or leading to cancer?
The association between nicotine in and of itself and cancer has not been proven, so the studies are still being done. One of the things with Zyn, and one of the ways they've gotten around some of the federal regulators, is because this is not a tobacco product. The nicotine comes from the tobacco plant, right? It's an insecticide, but this is made synthetically, so it's not a tobacco product, and so therefore it got around the regulations. So studies are being done. We heard earlier that there's been some associations, and so we need to do the studies. We can't jump to conclusions. That's not helpful. We want to just share the information that we have. We have enough information about the known harms, and we're looking at other possible harms. With any of these issues, when we're talking about children and adolescents, I think we should have a much, much, much smaller window for letting things go.
To answer your question, the verdict isn't in on cancer and nicotine for adults. But we know that for adolescents, there is no safe way to use this product. There is no safe way to use nicotine. You may hear, well, use just a little bit of it, but a little bit leads to a lot. And that affects the brain. It may not cause cancer in young people, but it affects their developing brain. We know that for sure. So there's no safe way to use a nicotine pouch, especially when it is inserted in between the lip and the gum or elsewhere in the mouth, which is a very ready way to transmit it. It's easily transmitted. The reason why nicotine is transmitted so readily through the lungs in smoking is that that's another area where the blood vessels intersect with the outer skin, and the same is true in the mouth. And the warning here that nicotine is an addictive chemical, it is a chemical. It's a drug. It's addictive. And there's no way to play with it safely.
Any of the students want to comment what reaction they get from their fellow classmates when you start telling them you shouldn't use this, or you're advocating, whoever wants to say anything? Just, like, what do your fellow classmates tell you?
Especially when mentioning health consequences with using Zins, they often respond with, well, it's better than using e-cigarettes or vapes. So that's usually the reasoning they go with when they're moving towards Zins, because but it's the same thing. E-cigarettes and vapes were marketed as something that's better than traditional cigarettes. It's a cycle that's repeating with a different substance. They still have negative health implications, just different ones.
Are they receptive to that idea, or do they say, oh,
Yeah, not usually until they start seeing the more serious ones. Again, Zins very recently started coming into schools, so it's the health implications that we discuss are those of either previous studies or current ongoing studies. So yeah.
Are there any other questions?
I can further comment on this. Yeah. So
Go for it, Alex.
So the thing with this is, right, it's the discreetness. That's the big part of this. So it's not really like, you can tell them, oh, it's all how bad it is. But really, it's just an outlet from the e-cigarettes, because schools are becoming more vigilant and more aware of e-cigarettes and vapes being used in schools. So just like in my school, they just installed these vape detectors. So these, you can just put them in your backpack and you can just put them in your lip and gum, and you can go on with your school day. No one's going to know. No one's going to know. So that's the big thing with these, and that's the big issue concerning Zins. Thank you.
Thanks, Alex. Sammy, did you have anything?
Yeah. Well, I think, I said I was going to be here today to a teacher, and a couple kids heard, and they were like, oh, like the other day I used a Zin and I threw up. It was so disgusting. But then other kids were like, oh, I popped one this morning. So it's like, they're so popularized by the media, like country music stars are putting them in during concerts. How many kids do you think are there? Like a lot with their parents. And their parents might not know what they are. So that's why it's so important that we're here right now, because a lot of people still don't know what it is. But I think they're so popularized, and a lot of kids are saying it's gross, but a lot of kids are also using them a lot. And then since they have such a high concentration of nicotine, it's not enough. Like I saw a TikTok the other day. They can't even use Zins because they don't have enough nicotine for them. So they have to use another brand that has an even higher amount. I was like, oh my gosh. So those are the things that are concerning to me, and hearing people say that is really concerning. And also knowing that these kids are struggling, I want to help you. How can I help? So that's why also where is an outlet that you feel comfortable going? You can talk to me if you're struggling, but I think that's the other issue that kids don't know, that they can talk to us, and we're not going to be a snitch. I'm not going to snitch on you. I just want to help you. So
you said country stars, what, they put it in during their concerts?
Yeah. Yeah. And hockey players, there's all over that too. Signing the containers so people can put them up in their rooms. That doesn't make sense to me, but for another person.
Smokeless tobacco.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to just, I hate to be the legal or bureaucratic voice here, but the FDA has a responsibility here. The Food and Drug Administration has a responsibility which they have neglected. They neglected it on vaping. They've delayed action on flavored tobacco products. And now on Zin, they are delaying again. The FDA must act. And this product ought to be removed from the market until they act.
There is a growing popularity of this kind of product. It's unmistakable in the rates of profits as well as the numbers of kids who are using it. There's no denying that these flavors are attracting a lot of kids. It's flavors, again, that make it so attractive. And the tobacco industry, the nicotine industry, they've learned that lesson, that the way to market them is through pitches to kids and flavors.
Thank you, Senator, and thank you all for coming. In the meantime, if anyone does need support, we at the Governor's Prevention Partnership are adding a section on ZIN to our current trends training for parents and adults, teachers, other caring folks for the community, and those are available on our website. So we hope that you'll participate and learn more. So thank you, Senator, for your leadership in Washington, and thank you all for coming today.